Welcome back
to the In the Bloom of It All podcast. My name is Cheyenne Montgomery.
And I'm Tyree Montgomery.
And we are excited to have you all here for another episode. So, just so you know, we're not just talking. We are here, we are blooming together. And if you are a mother or a daughter or simply just on a journey of self-discovery, just know there's room for you here.
There is room for you here.
With that being said, what are we talking about today?
Today we're just going to have a conversation. We're going to have a conversation about when the daughter becomes the teacher.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. So what'd you learn?
I learned a lot.
You did?
Yeah, I learned a lot from my kids.
Yeah, I be knowing stuff.
I learned a lot from my kids. And, I think I grew up in a time where, you get wisdom given to you from your elders. And the kids don't really get a say. You don't get to converse. When the parents say what they say, it is what it is. And that's it. No discussion. There's no, we're not doing that. What did I say? I wanted to create, my husband and I wanted to create different dialogue with our kids. Give them an opportunity to explain. Give them an opportunity to share. Because we can learn from them too. We're all on this journey of blooming together, right?
Absolutely.
So, for me, I was going through something particular that really strikes a strong memory of which will bring this all together. I was going through some stuff, and I was trying to make sure I was getting to everybody's things, their activities. You kind of go through this phase. Sometimes I don't know if you guys can relate. Leave it in the comments, but I was feeling like I was trying to make sure everybody had what they need. I was kind of spinning myself thin, making sure that everybody had a smile on their face. Everybody was getting, my attention equally, which is impossible at times. And I think I just got really overwhelmed. I don't even remember how the breakdown happened. Do you remember it, that day where I went outside and I sat on the porch and I was just like, girl was broke. I was so upset. I can't remember exactly what all happened, but I remember I was just feeling like I can't please everybody, and I'm doing my best, and I'm just trying to make everybody happy. It was like an ugly cry, like the ugly cry. And I went outside and I sit on the porch.
Yeah.
And this little light comes outside. I don't remember how old you were. Do you remember how old you were?
I don't know, maybe, I think I was still like in elementary school or late elementary school, maybe. So maybe 11, 12, something like that.
Okay, well, she was young and she was dropping bars that day, like nuggets of wisdom when mommy needed it. And it has stuck with me ever since. So she came out on the porch with me and she said, Mom, I just want you to know that it's not your responsibility to make us happy. And even though it's simply said and it's coming from a child, it was what I needed at that time, because I literally was taking on that responsibility to try to make everybody happy. They're kids, but I think, I was spinning my wheels trying to figure out how to fill in all the moving parts. And I wanted to equally see everybody just as content, happy, overjoyed. I mean, you could probably understand and relate when you want to put a smile on your kid's face and you want to make sure everybody's happy. So yeah, that day, it really resonated with me that I don't have to try to make them happy in every way. Just do my best, and it's enough. And it stuck with me. Yeah.
It is. And I think I remember that day too, because with, a big household, multiple siblings and lots of kids and different extracurricular activities, we had birthdays we were going to. Like, I remember like those weekends being packed with stuff. And after a full work week, and coming home late or going to work early and things like that. And then we're going to school and, trying to get everybody where they're supposed to be. And so there's like birthdays and athletic events and,
rehearsals.
Rehearsals, hanging out with friends and just trying to make sure
showers.
everyone can be where they're supposed to be. And on top of you meeting up with your own friends and stuff outside of our little mini strict schedule of
Mm-hmm.
activities, I think that day, like, I finally saw, like, you being very just overwhelmed and just feeling like there was just not enough time in the day to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and like with you and dad both trying to get us to everywhere we're supposed to go, it
Get
was just
dinner on
like,
the table,
yeah. And it's
homework.
just like, in that moment, you were just like, just kind of just defeated. You just seemed pretty defeated and just like, dang, there's just not enough time in the day. And, you know, and you were just kind of like saying that too. You're just like, gosh, like I missed this or I'm late to this. It felt like you
Something
were,
fell through the cracks.
yeah, it's
I
just
don't
like
remember
you
what it
were late
was.
to something, and it's just like, dang, we just didn't make it on time, or we just couldn't go.
Somebody was disappointed,
Yeah,
and I don't remember who.
yeah. I was like, I don't remember either. But and then I just remember like you went outside, and I was just like, she left. I said, oh no. You know, and just like as the child, I was looking at it. It's like my mom's sad, my mom's not happy, but I can understand in this circumstance the reason she's not happy is because she feel like she failed or she didn't do something to make us happy, and I was like, that can't be right. I was like, that's not your fault.
So when you were coming out there, when I was on the porch,
Mm-hmm.
were you coming out there just to see if I was okay, or you immediately realized like what was going on and
I
how you can
realized what
fix
was
it?
going on. Yeah, I realized what was going on, and I just didn't want to see you cry. I think that was
Mm.
the main thing. I didn't want to see you cry, and so I went out there to go check on you.
Mm-hmm.
My main thing was like, you're out there on the porch by yourself. Like, it's still daylight, but I was just like, I didn't want you to be out there by yourself. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I can sit with her
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, talk to her and, you know, or like I do something. I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to contribute in some way, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe if I came out there, she would, I don't know, something.
Yeah.
And we end up talking. And I think I remember you saying, like, you know, I'm just trying to do a lot. Like, I know I'm doing a lot, but I just feel like it's not enough and that I'm not doing, everybody doesn't seem happy. Everybody seems disappointed.
Mm. That was
And
the trigger.
you're like,
Okay.
everyone doesn't seem happy. Everyone seems disappointed. Like, we're,
Mm-hmm.
you know, things are just falling through the cracks. There's not enough time in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me tear up because I was just like,
I do remember you kind of cried with
and I
me.
started crying because I was just like, it's not, like, that's not right. You know, I was like, I don't think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I said, I was like, it's not your job to make everybody happy. Like, we have to do that for
Yeah,
ourselves.
you did say that. It's like we have to find our own
Mm-hmm.
happiness, mom. And I was just like, what? This kid is like, to her, for her to think that way
Yeah.
was just so far ahead of her time. I didn't understand why in that moment I was feeling such a relief
Mm-hmm.
coming from a little kid telling me something like this. But it was just a real honest revelation that
Yeah.
your kids are here with wisdom and they're on a journey on their own. They're seeing what's going on, they're absorbing what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You may think your kids don't understand some things, but they are watching. Whether you're going to help them understand or they're going to grab their own narrative as to what they experience.
Yeah.
Um, Either way, I think it's important to check in to give clarity where it's due. And in this situation, she enlightened me. So I'm grateful for that moment because to this day, I still honor that in any
Mm-hmm.
situation where I'm feeling that way when it's not even pertaining to my kids. It could be work, outside sources of any kind,
Mm-hmm.
relationships. And I'm reminded that when I feel that same feeling
Yeah.
of overwhelm, like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I just can't get it ahead or I can't do enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that kind of internal battle makes me resort back to that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my job to make everybody happy. In fact, you cannot make everybody happy.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. You could do your best at what it
Absolutely.
is you are supposed to do at that time,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's not your job to make everyone happy, including your kids. You do your best, and your best is enough. And you just keep making the adjustments over time to, as it comes to you. You know, you make changes, course correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also just over time and like, you know, growing up and things, I've started to realize too of like you and dad are obviously my parents, and there's a certain level of respect that we have because you guys are our parents.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, and even just how transparent and even vulnerable you guys have been with us of explaining like being an adult is hard. Like this is not easy. And then you add on being a parent, and then you add on like all these layers.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like having like even our grandparents, like our grandmothers, like you guys are still someone else's children. You are still a daughter and a son to your own parents. And so while you guys are learning from them, we're learning from you, and the, you know, it just keeps going. But also it's like the reality is you guys are doing life for the very first time. There's no rule book. There's no clear directions and step by steps on how to do things. And you're making all these decisions for the first time. You're going through life for the very first time. This is the first time you have been in your 30s, the first time you'll ever be in your 20s, you know, those kind of things. And it's just like, once you actually realize that as like the daughter and as, you know, to my parents, I was just like, they're doing the best that they can with what they have. Like, of course, I may not understand everything and every decision and, you know, why I was in trouble for this one thing that one time when I feel like it was not that big of a deal. But I get it. Like, as I'm getting older, I understand. You know, it's just like you gave a call and gave a direction, and based off of the information that you had, this is the best that you guys can do. And it doesn't make it more or less right or wrong. It's just you guys are trying your best. And that's all that we can really ask, is that you guys are doing the best you guys can for us. And also just like with y'all taking us everywhere in our multiple schedules and try to keep up, I'm like, I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to do what I can as the kid to just go along with it and hope I get to the thing that seems so important to me.
Right.
But just because my thing is important doesn't mean my sister doesn't think her thing is important, and so forth. And you guys are just trying to put everybody where they're supposed to be in the 24 hours of the day. So I was just like, it's not all on you to do that work.
I think also for me, just thinking about what you were saying about seeing what they're doing and they're doing the best to do. I had that same revelation with my mom. As a parent, I discovered, okay, this is what it looks like. Some stuff you won't realize until you become a parent yourself to understand why things are the way that they are. But it's almost like I had to like humanize my mom and my dad and the decisions that they made in that current time. Because I don't know about many of you all, but when I was young, and my mom was like 35 and 40. I thought she was old as dirt. I mean, it just didn't.
Old as dirt.
I didn't know. I didn't understand. And so now that I'm at those ages that my mom was, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where she was. I'm standing where she was standing. And it's so like, you know, mind blowing to know that she handled and navigated a lot of things that she did. And at this age, you know, and then I think about my grandmother who had 12 kids. She was at this age at a point in her life, and with multiple kids, like I almost sometimes have to be like, okay, this is like really small potatoes compared to the barriers and challenges that they had. So with that being said, you know, I was very appreciative of that moment. But it also made me give myself grace. And I think that was really um, a moment where I learned what that looked like, to forgive myself for what I wasn't able to do, to not create standard and expectations that don't exist to nobody else but me, and give myself grace. Do the best that you can each day and communicate when I can't and why. And I think I mentioned that on the last episode is, you know, having open conversations, open forums with your kids. Sometimes my kids will come to me and be like, Mom, you know, such and such, such and such. And even though it may be hard to hear, not that they're ever disrespectful or critical in any way, but you always want to do everything right as a
Mhm.
parent. But your kids are like, hey, mom, when you said that thing, I don't really understand what it meant. And it made me feel like this. And the first thing of the parent is like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to make you feel that way. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. But now that I know, my kids are teaching me that this thing hurts them. This is how we get rid of generational traumas.
Yeah.
We have to not be prideful and be willing to be flexible, to learn how to love each other. All of my kids have different personalities.
Mhm.
They all have their own journey. They were sent here, um, for with a purpose. And at the end of the day, we have to respect each other. Now, I'm still mom, and I'm gonna have rules and expectations, and there's a fine line of respect. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I have to be open to listen to my kids and give them that safe space, which is why we're able to have the relationship that we have now.
Mhm.
So,
I think also too with that is like because you guys had us younger, there's I'd say a smaller gap in the sense of like
mm,
experiences and like the knowledge that's in between. Like it wasn't too long ago,
mm-mm,
it was like 20, 24 years ago, but it's still
mm-hmm,
like you can relate to where we're at.
right,
Where I would assume if it was a much larger gap, I'd be like, we have iPhones.
right,
Like I don't understand.
right,
No, like
mm-hmm,
I understand what a Walkman is. I understand VHS tape.
CD
Like there's
player,
still things we can talk about where
cassette
I'm just like,
tapes.
yeah, I'm like, I use those too for a little bit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but just the advice and things is not too far away and it still feels kind of connected where it's just like, okay, you can still recall a time and a moment
Mm-hmm.
specifically of where something that just happened to me happened to you
Right.
and can provide the advice or information to
Mm-hmm.
give us a different perspective. So
True.
it makes that even more easier to communicate with you guys because it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
she's
Mm-hmm.
talking about it and she's talking about how I would talk about it
Right.
because it's not too far away.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
And then actually being able to understand.
Yeah.
So the relatability is there. And I think the other piece that comes to mind is, having those conversations, getting to know what they see from their
Hmm.
perspective. And it may be different from what I was used to, but being open to learn, like, oh, okay, and then how can I support you?
Hmm.
That's something I've always tried to exercise. How can I support you? What do you need from me? Instead of assuming from my perspective and my wisdom, what is supposed to be, what it looks like to show up for her,
Hmm.
but asking, what do you need from me? How can I support you in this or that?
And there's
Yeah.
times where I may not even know. And
Mhm.
I'm like, and I'm honest with you about that. I'm like, I actually don't know what I need from you right now.
Mhm.
I appreciate it, but I'm like, I can't think of anything specific to really share. I'm sure it's something, but if there
Yeah.
is, like you've let the door be open to I can come to you. I may not know it right now in this moment when you
Mhm.
ask me, but it may be a day later, 2 weeks later, whatever, and I'll be like, Mom, I actually need you to help me in this area. And
Mhm.
making it available to where it's not this conversation doesn't just stop once we have it. It's
Mhm.
an open conversation that we have and can continue to be revisited later on.
Mhm. I also think about those moments when you're having conversations, and because we can vibe, like we
Hmm.
can really have great conversations, but me having to be mindful of the
Yeah.
lines, like I can't go into that, but being mindful that okay, it's my daughter,
Hmm.
and certain things she don't need to know.
Well. Okay.
And there's certain things that we may
Yeah.
talk about I don't want to know yet. I
Mm-mm.
don't, there's
I'd be like,
certain.
pause. We'll come back to this.
Right, right. But absolutely, these moments have all taught us different things,
Yeah.
even through the challenging times and the hardships, and because we've been through some challenging
Hmm.
things, as well, and just seeing how our kids respond and how we get through it, it's been pretty awesome. I feel like I can safely say that we did a good job. I can safely say that. And not
That's your
only
trophy.
thank you so much. I'm gonna set it right here. And not only just us, I'm a firm believer to give your kids back to God.
Mm-hmm.
Praying over our kids, praying with our kids, keeping them grounded and knowing that we don't have all the answers. But God knows all things. God has the answers to all things. And just as I and your dad can go to God, you can too.
Yeah.
So nurturing their relationship and continuing to make sure that um, we're aware that not only our influence is going to be where they draw from, but other people are going to come along the way as well. So I could see where you can always bring something back and add to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like some slang, dance moves.
Or the times where I say certain things and you be like, ah, don't say that.
Yeah, I'm like that's we don't say that no more.
Mm-mm.
We don't say that no more.
We've moved on.
We moved on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought I was going to be like the really cool mom that knows all the dances. I was going to know all the things all the time so you guys wouldn't be able to, you
And
know.
she did. I'll give you your props. You did. Both you and Dad knew what you need to know as far as to get through a middle schooler, elementary schooler's life.
Yeah.
But mm-hmm.
I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you. I needed that little toot.
You're welcome. I give you that.
Yeah. And a lot of my friends, the same way, like their kids think I'm like super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My nieces and nephews think I'm pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my friends love her. Like every time they see her, they give her hugs before they give me a hug. But it's fine. I'm not mad.
And yeah, that's all a good sign though. Like, I don't feel like I'm overbearing. I'm overbearing. I'm not overbearing. Do you feel like I'm nosy?
The healthy amount of nosy, but it's more like you be like, "What's the tea? So what's going on?" And I'm like,
like, tell me what happened.
What happened? I'm like, well.
And look quickly, I'm like, she giving me the version, and I respect that.
Yeah.
I do. I respect it. I do. But I'm so grateful for our relationship, and you have taught me a lot, and I'm gonna always cherish that, and I'm still learning. I don't ever think that we fully arrive as parents to know it all. I will not be arrogant enough to put myself in a space to think that I just have the right answers and understanding to everything. As time changes, if you're not progressing and continue to abound in knowledge and wisdom and understanding, you will be left behind, just like an iPhone. You won't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm also very aware of that as well. Like, got to keep up.
Yeah. And I've seen it so many places, like on social media and stuff. And it's just like where, people my age are just like, my mom is just a girl. At the end of the day, like she's just a girl, going on trips and hanging out with her friends and, going to work. Like at the end of the day, is my mom, but she's just a girl at the end of the day.
Which is why we can totally relate on so many. I think, like we were saying earlier, if you humanize each other and understand that we're both, flawed individuals, we're on a journey of learning and discovery. The difference is I'm a few steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
So there's things that I can reach back and I've already experienced. So I can share with you and give you insight, help you collapse time on certain things or, avoid pitfalls of sorts. I think that is to be honored and respected. Definitely in the sense of, you know.
So what you're trying to say is I'm a good teacher.
You's a good teacher. You's a good teacher.
Thanks.
Yes. And your delivery, honey. Your delivery. You're not like one of those know-it-all kids that just be like, no, it's not. You tread lightly, and you do share. But because I feel like I'm open to learn, yeah.
A good scholar. Yeah. She said it. She said, I be drop the mic, dropping gems. I be knowing things.
You do
sometimes.
Yeah, you do. You do. You do. Especially like when we like go traveling and stuff. I be like, you did arrangements.
Oh yeah, I be like, someone do this, this, and this. Oh, we gotta try that too. And then I saw this on TikTok, so we gotta go there too. itinerary
Like when we went to
planned.
Hawaii, you handle all the
Oh
things.
yeah, I said bathroom here. We go
Mm-hmm.
there, TSA.
Mm-hmm.
I was like navigating through everything.
Get your documents.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do this. Did you schedule this? Did you schedule that? I was
Yes.
like, let her live
So
in her
we are
truth,
ready to go.
her gifting and abilities. I don't need to trump all of that because I'm mom. No,
Yes.
let her walk in what she does well. Absolutely.
I don't know everything.
Mm-mm.
We definitely took a while to get to that lift. I do remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was downstairs, but it actually was upstairs. And there was a lot of stairs. Anyway, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
it all.
Yep.
I just go in. I'm like, I'm focused.
Yep.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's safe to say that it's okay to allow your child to be the teacher in moments. You agree?
I agree.
Okay.
100%.
Yep. It's
Yes,
safe to say.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Well, that's another episode.
Yeah. I think we just did that.
I think we did. You did that?
We did that.
Oh, little Pam. Oh, she blew it up.
Mm,
Okay, word.
yes. So we would love to hear your stories or experiences where you felt like your child was the teacher.
Yes.
Share it in the comments. Tell us what your thoughts are. We want your feedback. We don't want just your feedback. We want to build community with you guys. So engage with us.
Yes.
Tell us what you want to hear more about.
Mhm.
We are here to do this because we want to engage. We don't want to just, we're not just talking, right?
We are blooming together.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, thank you again for another week, another episode, and for spending time with us.
And remember, healing is hard work.
And you are never in this journey alone.
So until next time, have faith
And
and
keep
keep
blooming.
blooming.